Hi guys, and welcome to the Aging Games, where I talk about all things related to health, anti-aging, and beauty, and especially for ladies over 50. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about relationships, and especially with what it's like living with someone who suffers from Asperger's. And this subject is pretty new to me. I just started doing research a few weeks ago, but I've found some really interesting things. It was first brought to my attention by a therapist about 12 years ago, and when I went to see someone regarding my husband and our relationship, and I kind of dismissed it as it just seemed so out there. I just associated with autism, and it just didn't, there wasn't a lot of information about it, and I just kind of never thought about it again. I kind of went on with my life thinking, well, I'm married to an Aquarius who is a bit aloof and is a bit distant, and I didn't really put the pieces together until I read a book just 2-3 weeks ago about different personality traits that someone with Asperger's will have. And as I read the book, it was literally like a kick in the stomach, because every single thing seemed to fit, and it just described my husband to a T. And since then we've done some online tests, and he has also participated. He thinks actually it's hilarious to finally have a diagnosis, which he likes to call Aspergers, and he's making very light of the situation. But for me, it's given me some comfort, because it has answered so many questions and so many issues that I've been dealing with. We've been together almost 26 years. It'll be 26 years in May, and married for 24 next month. And even though he was like this super romantic guy when we first met, like he literally swept me off my feet, things quickly changed, and I just didn't really know where to put it. And we were running our businesses. We were very busy, and he was always very focused on whatever we were doing. So when we were doing our businesses, he was on that 24/7, concentrating on that. We left some time for our personal lives, but never really as much as I wanted. There was just so many little things, like limited eye contact, limited physical contact. Physical contact was reserved more for sexual relations rather than just cuddling and touching or holding hands and being intimate in other ways. A lot of it I thought it was his upbringing or just his personality and different things at play. But coming face to face with this thing, it puts so many things into perspective, and it just really makes me appreciate and understand my relationship so much more. What I did after reading this book is I joined a few support groups on Facebook and found out that there's a syndrome, Cassandra syndrome, or Cassandra condition they call it, which also happens to the woman who is married to a man with Asperger's or dating someone with Asperger's, because you start to have your own issues because of the distance. Emotionally, you start to question yourself, and you start to question how you look and if you're desirable, if you're a good wife, and all of those things, and this can develop a whole host of issues in itself. The other thing that I found in a lot of these groups is just a lot of negativity, and I understand these women are fed up, but a lot of it was just centered around divorce or getting divorced, or there's women there that got divorced 20 years ago and they're still in these groups and going on and on about what happened to them. And I was really looking for some positive reinforcement and some positive help in this regard and dealing with this situation. And the only place I kind of found that were like Christian podcasts or Christian sites where marriage is viewed as sacred, and divorce is not even an option. It's really interesting because Asperger's is not really all negative, and I've started thinking about a lot of different things. And even though there's always this emotional distance between us, and I'm the one that has to fight for attention and fight for intimacy all the time, but there's also a lot of good things that come with Asperger's, and some of these things are just loyalty and devotion, and really the person really gives it his all, not in the traditional sense, but I know, for example, that if anything was wrong, like or anything happened to our family, he would literally give his life to protect us. And I know that also that in his way, like, love for an Asperger's person is very different from the traditional sense of showing love or even feeling love. And now I realize that they actually feel things very differently from how we feel, and they interpret facial expressions and emotions in others very differently. They just don't see or feel those things the same way. And I had a very good therapist. Sadly, she moved away, but we also became very good friends, and she really helped me deal with these type of situations, because, for example, she said to me, if your husband is really good at taking out the garbage, marriage, then that's his role. And if you're very good at showing love and giving emotions, then that's your role in the relationship. So I'm also finding that a lot of the women that are married or with men who have Asperger's, they are empaths, they're very empathetic and very emotional. And for some reason, these two polar opposites are attracting each other. I'm not sure why, but maybe, I often think about this, and if I was married to a man who was also very emotional, and there was a lot of crying and a lot of moaning and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't be able to take that man seriously. Like, I would want him to man up and be a man and to be strong. So I think having two empaths and two very emotional people together, that could be a potential disaster. I think it would be for me. I don't know if I'm just looking at the bright side of things or not, but I do think in that sense that we balance each other out. I think for my husband, it's important for him that I'm more of a social person than he is, and that he knows that if we're in a social situation, that I will carry the conversation. There won't be any awkward silences. Like, he can just sit there and kind of disengage from the situation, which he often does, and he knows that it won't be awkward because I'm there to kind of pick up the slack for both of us. But at the same time, also, Aspergers are super intelligent, which, if you are one, or if you're married to one, or in a relationship one, you probably know this. So, there will always be stimulating conversations, lots of different interesting topics. Of course, they do tend to focus on one thing, and that one thing becomes an obsession. And so when they're talking, they really like to talk about that one specific topic, which definitely my husband has, and it's the same thing that he talks about to everyone. But they have a really interesting mind, a very analytical mind, and they can see things and numbers and graphs and things like that, and interpret things in a very different way from the way our normal brains would interpret these things. So it's very intriguing and very interesting to have conversations, and you can have very deep and interesting conversation about different topics. They may not be the emotional topics that we would like to have inside a marriage. We do have those once in a while, and I kind of get this blank stare, like deer in headlights. Oh my God, what's wrong? What did I do? I don't understand. And they really truly don't understand what we're feeling, or what we're missing, or what we're going through. It's a constant challenge. It's always difficult, but at the same time, there are some really amazing rewards, and I would really love for people to concentrate on those things, because like I said, in these groups, a lot of the things that women are complaining about are just things that you could complain about from any man. Like any man could be doing those things. It has nothing to do with this condition. So I think focusing on those things and focusing on those negative things and getting into a group and chatting about it with other women and everyone chiming in, yes, my husband's the same and he does this as well, and you're kind of fueling the fire rather than trying to find solutions. So I think if you make a decision to stay in this relationship and to remain in this marriage, then you have to try to look at the bright side of Asperger's, and hopefully your husband or partner is open to learning new things, because you can improve this, you can improve the closeness. And even if he's not feeling it, if he understands that being close is important to you, then he can make that extra effort to hold your hand and to hug you and to be affectionate outside of the bedroom as well, because I think for women this is so important. And I think that if he starts doing these little things, then also his brain will start to change a little bit, and he will start to crave more physical attention and affection as well, and will start to enjoy it, hopefully. And another interesting thing that I've seen is that people with Asperger's, they're really able to connect and relate to animals very affectionately. And we have 3 dogs, and we always say my husband loves the dogs more than anyone, and it's true. And I mean, when you just look at him, the type of affection and love he gives these little animals, so I mean, there are emotions in there. They just have like a different way of expressing it, and for some reason they can express it so much better to these little innocent animals that just give you unconditional love. But I mean, it's a nice sign to see, because at least they're not completely dead inside. So I don't really have that much information about Asperger's at the moment, and I will continue to research, because I have that researcher's brain that just never shuts down, and I need to know everything, and I need to be fully informed. But I can tell you that learning this diagnosis, even though it's not an official one, I mean, all the signs are there. So, having this diagnosis kind of puts my mind at ease in a small way, that I'm not just completely crazy, not a neurotic woman that wants all these things that are just not normal. It's not something that I'm doing. It's It's not that something's wrong with me and I'm not good enough or pretty enough, but it's just the way that his brain is wired and he can't help it. So because of that, that's really making me want to be more patient and more understanding and more helpful. And I really hope that, after all these years, that we can get through this together and find ways to connect and find ways to make it like a happy experience, like make our marriage a strong experience for both of us and something that we can both enjoy and benefit from and that we can continue to grow together. So it's a really interesting topic and I'm really looking forward to learning more. I'm completely engulfed with all the information right now, reading books, listening to podcasts and watching videos. So hopefully I can bring you some more interesting videos about this topic and also can share more of my personal experience with you. What I do want to say is that no man is perfect and no relationship is perfect and we all have our challenges, and I think whoever ends up in our life or whoever we choose as a life partner is there for a reason, and obviously we need to learn things, and perhaps we need to learn more patience and more understanding and more tolerance towards others. So I'm really hoping that that will be the case with me and that I can learn all those things and also stop being hard on myself. So guys, if you have anything to share or to add on this topic, I would love to hear from you, because like I said, I'm just getting started and I'm totally open to ideas, and I do look forward to bringing more videos on this topic if you're interested. Thanks guys so much for watching, and if you'd like to see more from me, please don't forget to like and subscribe.